Okay. Skype is muted right now. Oh my god. Al, what is going on with your camera right now, man? You've got a bit of a... Look at that starburst. Oh boy.
I don't know what to do about it. The sun is
You're...
like right. Yeah.
Just hold your hand there the rest of the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Just hold it there. Cause watch, move your hand away now. Yeah! Disco rave. Let me get some music going on right now before we hang out with the mobs and minions for a little bit here. Woo! Let's turn that down to 10. That's amazing. Your camera hates you right now.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, the sun is like right through the window somehow. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get the video games channel going. Oh, look at that! World of Warcraft Cataclysm. First song come up. Night song. Perfect. All right. So yeah, so this is the after boss show. After boss show. I'll take that. That's fine. And we'll just do some questions and hang out with you guys for a little bit. This episode was super long, but we knew it was going to be going into the first part. I knew our normal 90-minute bracket of time wouldn't hold all this information, so I don't think anyone's complaining about it. I hope YouTube doesn't blow up, though. Hopefully, I'll have to cut it in half, which should be fine. But yeah, if you guys have questions and stuff for these guys, definitely go for it. We can actually watch chat now. I know I had a question in Skype real quick here. Is this your question, Evan, or is that someone else's question? My question to y'all. Did you get that from chat, or... Oh, should I actually play the singing VOD on stream?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I won't do it, it's fine.
We gotta admit.
Gail's on my shit list for having that link.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh, we had, so yeah, Emily's asking a question. Regarding
Who?
toxic players... Who? Regarding toxic players, how do you deal with a raider who is rudely sarcastic and demoralizing some other raiders who is not easy to replace? My raid leader and officers can't seem to control him. So it's literally,
Wait.
it's a person you can't replace?
Wait, post that in chat.
Yeah.
Let me read the actual question. Can you put it in
Sure.
Skype?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Emily posted that as far as I know.
Well, on that one, I would say everybody's replaceable. Like, literally, you might think that they're not replaceable at that time, but they're definitely going to be replaceable. Like, for example, I'll give you an example here. At the beginning of TOT, our off-tank, who basically geared all 5 of his characters, quit the day before the patch came out. And, you know, pretty much screwed us because we had a lot of trust there, but, you know,
Yeah.
we thought, oh my god, what are we gonna do now? We don't have an off tank, and we really didn't gear any other tanks out as much. So we thought we were completely dead in the water at the start of Throne. And you know, we just chose somebody that was reliable in the guild, that was a good player, and you know, geared out their all tank. And yeah, we suffered at the beginning, but we replaced that person. So no matter how, you know, crappy it may look, or like no matter how non-replaceable a person may appear, there definitely are, and you just got to take that risk. It's not worth it for the rest of your raid team to suffer through that.
Yeah, there definitely comes to a point where you need to cut the ties, because again, we talked about the smallest, you know, pinpricks can set enough an avalanche.
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing I would just reiterate is exactly what he just said. Everyone is replaceable. Obviously, you can't replace 25 people at a time, but like if you're dealing with one individual, like it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, even if I quit raiding today and like I, you know, like died in a plane crash or something, like if that happened, I mean, like somebody else is just gonna, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter who and what guild. Like, I mean, life goes on.
Yeah. Definitely. What else we got here? It's a big one. I'll post it in the Twitch chat, and we'll go for it. I'll read it out. But my question to you all is, what advice do you have for players who are trying to get back into the mix? He's an ex-top 50 raider. This is Riggnaros US from Moonguard. He's an ex-top 50 raider and took a different path for Mists of Pandaria along with PvP and casual play, though he's interested in getting back into the mix of raiding again. So what would you suggest him to get back into the mix?
find a guild, start getting back into it. I mean, like, the easiest way to do it is just, you know, find a guild and start raiding again, and then start doing your homework. Start finding out what the class changes are. Start finding out how to, you know, min-max stat priorities. I mean, the whole nine. I mean, it's just, it's the same dynamic as it was back in the day. It's just a little more complex in some situations. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, if you ever played at all since gems and enchants and all, like, you know, I guess enchants have been around, but like I think gems was like I'm pretty sure he's rated since they've added gems to the game. So I mean, like, you know, make sure you're getting all that. The reforging, I don't remember when that was actually added. Just all that stuff. Just make sure you're doing your homework, figuring out what it needs to be. And I mean, the basics are always going to be the same. It's just, you know, be able to play your character in a dungeon environment and, you know, do it consistently and do it well.
Yeah, I think the one thing I've told some of my viewers before trying to get into guilds in the first place was that utilize whatever you can to get your character up to snuff with the options you have available before applying. Don't try to apply to a guild in like fresh LFR gear and all this other crap, because you can probably get much higher than that, or at least have it like, you know, gemmed properly, enchanted, reforged, whatever else before you apply, because that's one of the things that you look at in the interview, like, you know, docket. Is he even like trying to put this together before he even comes to us? So make sure you're up to snuff before you even go that route. Because if you have, yep, go ahead.
Just to add to that,
yeah,
like, don't try to use your previous experience as like, you obviously use it to like show that you've actually rated, but don't use the previous experience exclusively, because if you show up to a guild in like total like garbage gear and be like, well, I rated in a top 20 guild during BC or whatever, you know, your current effort is all that matters, and just the fact that you were in a good guild once doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get into a good guild now.
Yeah.
Everybody starts at ground zero. I mean, everybody should have that mentality regardless. It doesn't matter if you're somebody that's coming back or not. Like, I mean, just, it's, anybody that wants to be successful at this game should have a self-imposed, like, mindset of, like, what have I done lately? You know, like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what you did at any point, you know what I mean? If you're currently shitty, like, you're just somebody who used to be good.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like the League of Legends mentality, where you can be amazing one game, and then the next game you go into it, you have to start all over from fresh, and that's just how you go with guilds. Like, if you played a whole lot back in the day, and you had all those accolades beforehand, but you take a break and you come back to the game, you're back at square one. Like, no one's gonna care about what you did last expansion when you're in the new one. You have to be fresh and present yourself in a different light, you know, the proper way. You can't just expect to be carried upon your old accolades. We had one more. We had more, but we got one from Foul Barbecue Chicken. Foul Barbecue Chicken asks, let's see. At what point do you replace a player on a fight? Are you concerned about the learning curve of the replacing player, especially on a fight like Shen that takes 200 plus pulls for a lot of guilds? So when do you replace a player during progression content, I would assume? If they're screwing up a bunch and they've been in for tons of attempts, like what do you go about doing that?
There's never a good time. Honestly, there's never going to be a time where it's like, okay, well, this is a good time to put someone in who hasn't seen it whatsoever. You know, I mean, it's any point you do that, you're implementing a learning curve. So I mean, that's why, like I said, weak links come to the surface during, you know, progression, and you're just going to have to bite the bullet and do it at some point. I mean, I can give you a direct example of this. When we were doing Shot Fear progression, you know, we had, it was me, Blood Death Knight, Absalom, Prop Paladin, and then not Diggs, who was playing Feral Druid. And the Druid was just not a good class for the encounter whatsoever. And we had already, you know, it was to the point where we were I don't even remember how many wipes were on that boss, but we were a ways into progression already, and we thought about changing to get the monk to do, this is before we knew the monk was like God mode on Sha, because I didn't play my monk at the time. So we were more or less just sticking with the druid, and there were times where we would literally waste every single B-res that we had on the druid tank from the thrash, you know what I mean? Because he had savage defense, and it's just a dice roll on the dodge, and if he just eats every single one of them, he's dead. And it happened, and it happened more times than I would like to remember. But eventually, it was just kind of like the day. I think it was the day after Method killed it. I was like, whatever. I mean, it's like we already lost the world first. Let's just make the swap, because this is, we looking back at it, should have done it earlier. So I mean, if you want to answer, and the monk worked out fine. I think we actually killed it the same day that we made the tank swap, and so I mean that just comes down on me not making the tank swap earlier. So I would just say, if you're going to do it, I would say do it earlier than later. The longer you delay it, just it doesn't. If you have somebody that's a clear problem, just make the swap, man. Don't try and sit there and just hope that they get better, because if they're not better yet, they're not going to get better.
Yeah, that's what Sam even has that too. That can go on a night-to-night basis too. It doesn't have to just go in progression. Like if you have players that are having a rough night, he's pulled 2 or 3 times. We wipe on a farm boss, and like the same person screws up twice, he just replaces them immediately. Like there's no waiting. So even down to farming content, you don't want to waste a whole lot of time on that. So we had a couple people like hunters and warlocks that were swapped out on the last kill of Dark Animus. So and that was like a wipe or 2, and then just replaced them. Right? You just got to get it out and bring in someone else and see if they're good for the night, because sometimes you just have bad nights. You're just not working right, your computer's pooping, you don't feel good, whatever else have you, and that can affect your play too. So just nip it in the bud early than later, because then you can keep wiping.
I think, in my experience, when I see people get sat because they're being bad or whatever, usually the people who get sat with, with, I guess, less warnings or whatever, it's usually a very severe mistake that they have made. For example, it's not like some really small thing that they've never died to before, but say that they wiped the entire raid because they had enough time to do something, but they were not in the right location. It affected the raid, everyone wipes. Something like that could happen on Lei Shen or Raden, being in the wrong place, not going when it's your turn, and just wiping the whole raid. I think it depends on the severity of the situation, and it's usually, if they're going to make a very severe mistake that's highly preventable, maybe they should get sat earlier than someone who might just, make a mistake that they normally haven't made, and, it happens a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to knowing your raiders and knowing what you can really expect as far as consistency levels. That's why you never want new people in progression. You want to know what you're dealing with and know people's consistency levels and things like that. And I'm not saying swap somebody out if they make a mistake. You never want to be like, it's like, it has to be at a level of, it's like, okay, man, like this is a honest to God detriment to what's going on. Like this is single-handedly holding us back. And if it's at that point, then you make the swap.
Yeah. Let's see, we got other ones here. So, Magdalena, our guest from next week, had a wall of text that didn't get destroyed. So let me grab this real quick and repost it. Oops. So let's see. It doesn't have the timestamp in there, does it? So, alright, we have a question here. Question is concerning class switching in your guilds. So as top raiders, is it likely that you sometimes need to engage in some kind of class stacking or sitting certain specs that might not be optimal on a pre-nerf version of a heroic mode boss? When it comes to tanks, I've noticed that both of you, I guess talking to 2 of you, recently switched from Blood DK to Brewmaster Monk. Do you have such switching as problematic or simply as part of the level of the game you engage in? He's particularly interested in hearing about this from a tank's perspective, given that they tend to only be 2 or 3 of them in a 25-man guild at any given time.
Go ahead, man.
So class stacking basically comes with the territory. You just got to be able to do it. Like at this point, I've 4 tanks basically geared up for next tier, and I expect to use all of them. And so you just got to make the call. And for us, we'll look at like what world first guilds are using on the encounters, and we'll bring those characters. Specifically this patch, Brewmasters turned out to just be absolutely ridiculous in Throne, especially on the last 2 encounters. On Lei Shen, they were just phenomenal at destroying the ball lightnings and moving the boss around from platform to platform. And then on Raden, they were just a complete joke as far as a fatal strike and as far as like dealing out the damage.
Yep.
So any class that gives you an advantage, I feel pretty comfortable just swapping to at the drop of a hat, and I think it pretty much comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I think it goes a little. There's more to it than just saying hop on something else. Like, you have to know that the people getting on that class understand how to play it, and that's why, like, during farm, that's why we're rotating out people that are, you know, to get. People have to be able to play their alts, is what I'm getting at. Like, you don't want people who are gonna be, because I mean, like, even okay, if it's like, it depends on the reason. If it's like for a certain thing, like if you need a mage's ice block, that's a little different than if you just need a little more damage. Because if you're just trying to get more damage, and like, let's say warlocks are the top damage, but they're, you know, if you have a moonkin swap to a warlock and he's not good at playing that warlock, and he's doing 10% less damage than he would be on his moonkin because he's better at playing the moonkin, it's not a good swap. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to, you have to know the raiders, what they're capable of, and things like that, and you have to understand the reasons that you would be making the swap. As far as like everyone's preparation, you just have to make sure that people understand, like, you know, any character that they're going to be, any class or character they're going to be stepping onto, they're going to need to play it at the optimal level. And to do that, you know, that entails the whole nine. Whether it's keep you up with the legendary. I mean, you basically have to do all the groundwork on that character. It's not as simple as just getting on a class and going into the instance. You have to have all the other stuff ready to go as well. VP upgrades, legendary mail, legendary cloak, you know, actual gear from the, you know, previous instance and things like that. Because outside of, you know, just exploiting a specific ability like ice block or something like that, or cloak, or, you know, what have you, I mean, you're going to need those characters to be up to par. You're going to need people to be able to play them. As far as like tanking, I don't have a preference as far as like what I'm playing. I'm just going to be like, okay, that's better. Like, I have one of each tank class and then 2 Death Knights at 90 or whatever the level cap is right now. 90, right? Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I have like 6 level 90s, and
where's Sheena? We need some math going on here for Riggs.
Yeah,
Help.
no, man. You start hitting me with numbers, it starts getting rough. But
help, Sheena.
Like, my DK and my monk are both 551 eye level or whatever it is, and like the other characters are like between 530 and 540. Pretty much every one of my tanks. So like, they're all capable of getting in there and doing it on a specific encounter. Whether, you know, if you need a paladin for a bop or a bubble or a DSEC, or if you need a DK for blood shield or what AMS, or if you need the warrior for heroic leap. I mean, like, any one of those options. I mean, like, I'm obviously better at playing the monk and the death knight than the other ones. Paladin's pretty close. Better at playing the death knight than any of them, just because of how long I played it. So it just comes down to that, man. Like, your ability to play the class well, and, you know, making sure the character's up to speed on where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I just want to add on to that, like, when you first start off with like telling people that they need to be able to play their alts, and like when we started our split runs, some people were pretty awful at their alts. But, you know, if you tell people we really need to have your alts at like max level of gameplay, just work on them as hard as you can, a lot of people will be able to get up to speed on that. So that's definitely something you can work on it as a guild.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only thing I was going to add to that too was that for tanks, as it seems, they have an easier time switching mid content, right? But it's on them to be up to speed on like the heroic stuff, like the meta and the cloak and stuff like that. That's like on them. But if they can do that for the guild, that's a huge benefit. But players, I know, was noted in chat, like for like you or me, or like people that aren't in that tanking position, usually roll swaps either from DPS to healer, or melee to range, or you know, shaman to warlock, or hunter to warlock, can usually happen on expansion changes. It's really easy to do that break at an expansion change. It's a lot harder, as Jenni can attest to do it between tiers even. That's another thing. You can do it between tiers. Mid progression would probably be right out. Like, you just can't do that. It's too much headache. But usually expansions are a great time, and then between tiers, if you can catch up, then definitely. So I'm sure Jenni's happy that the patch isn't coming out to September 10th, because are you still working on your warlock a little bit there?
Oh yeah, I mean, right now my eye level is not as high as I would like it. Right now I'm at, what, 537? I do have some good pieces, but to be honest with you, it's pretty difficult, especially with the legendary. Just getting up to speed. My metagem's pretty important, so I really just want to be able to have that. But Yeah, I don't know. It's not super easy as DPS. Like, you know, since we're on farm, it's a little bit more acceptable for me to be making a class change. But it's nice too that I am playing something that I'm familiar with, which is ranged DPS, and I'm not switching to like some like healing or whatever that, you know, I don't really understand how. So yeah, I would not. I don't. The reason I don't play my Moonkin is because I don't know how to off heal well.
I definitely think that roles is very. From a DPS standpoint, that's the only one I would say people should really be swapping. You know, you need to have a range and a melee, just depending on whether or not the fight needed one or the other. But like healers, I would definitely say stick to different healing classes, and tanks be the people that are swapping around on the tanks. Because what you don't want to have is like, you know, your tank trying to DPS. Like me, if you told me to, you know, go Windwalker, I would just be like, get someone else in. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I mean, like you know, I don't put any of my eggs in that basket because you know. The percentage chance of that happening is probably slim to none, and yeah, I mean but like healers, you know, they should be, you know, if you play a paladin, have like a shaman option or a druid option or vice versa, things like that. But DPS, I would say, you know, swap around between ranged and melee to give yourself some options.
Yeah.
That's nice to have.
You love baskets filled with eggs. There you go. Spaz's comments always get me. Maybe because his name is Pink in chat, but some pretty funny quibs here and there. But yeah. So, there's one more question we'll do here. It was a giant wall of text from In Fun It Fun, I guess. Or I was reading that for like In For It Fun. But yeah, In Fun It Fun posted a giant wall of text. We're not going to read the whole question. So to summarize it, he basically has his co-tank, raid leader GM, is really toxic. So should he try to work with the guy or find a new guild? Can the combined efforts of a raid steer the GM in a different direction? So how does a not person in power, I guess, deal with leadership that has a problem? Should he try to help it from the inside out, like from the bottom up, or should he just find a new guild?
I would obviously start by like trying to mend the issue with the guild leader and, like, you know, let him know that the rest of the raid is miserable and all that. And if that doesn't work, we actually did this back in Manila during MC. You know, I wasn't guild leader, and you know, I didn't want to be guild leader or raid leader, but during that time we had like a really abusive raid leader / guild leader that, you know, was just making everybody miserable. So basically we just ended up all G quitting and just creating a new guild. So, you know, sometimes you just got to make the call. It's a tough call to make. If you think that they're the type of person that's going to listen to you and that you can, you know, talk to them, and you actually think that they can change, then I would work with them. But otherwise, you just got to do what's best for you.
Yeah. Anything on that, Riggs?
I would just kind of say, like, if the guy is really invested as he should be as a raid leader or whatever, the guy that you're saying has a problem, I mean, he should care about, you know, the guild and, you know, how it's, you know, its performance. And what I'm going for there, or what I'm going to there is, you know, talk to him outside of a raid one day and just be like, listen, man, you know, I've talked to people, you know, you get the other people together, just get them to get their thoughts together, put them on a document, just show him a document so he can sit down and read it. You know what I mean? Like, anybody that is, you know, smart enough or understands how things work well enough, I mean, they should be able to, you know, be like, okay, if enough people have a problem with what's going on to the point to where they think it's, you know, I mean, if it depends. If it's a bunch of people that are just, you know, ass hurt because they got yelled at for sucking, I mean, that's one thing. But if it's actually, you know, if the guy's a literal detriment to the, you know, raid and its ability to perform well, you know, that's a different story. So, I mean, it just, you got to be able to draw that line yourself. And, you know, if it's people that just need to grow up and stop being, you know, I don't really know the politically correct term there, but stop being bitches. I mean, it's like, you know, that could be an option, or the person could, yeah, like I said, just, you know, if that's not what it is, if the guy literally has an issue, just sit him down and talk with him outside of a raid, and if he gives a shit enough, he'll adjust, and if he doesn't, just go on and do your own thing.
Yeah, that's a hard line, but you basically think you're spending not only your time but your money on this game, right? And if you're not enjoying where you are and you can't figure out a way to do it like civilly, like adults, then you gotta just move on. You have to cut your losses and move on. Kind of like how from the inside out, when you find bad players, you gotta just cut your losses, move on. If you can't really handle that or control it from your perspective, you just can't deal with it, man. Tons of other guilds out there, so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're the guy paying $15 a month. It's your money. You spend it how you want. You make yourself happy. I mean, I don't really see a point in putting up with some kind of situation that it does make your time rating and playing World of Warcraft very difficult and not enjoyable. You know, I totally agree with what, you know, Amy and Rig said. Like, you know, just see if he cares enough to make changes, and if not, just you know, leave and reform as another guild, and he's not invited unless he changes. So.
Yeah. So the last question here, AOcast posted. It got lost in the Skype chat, but he wanted to know for Riggs, do you believe that your experience as in the military has made you into the excellent raid leader you are today, and why?
Yeah, a lot of it, man. I mean, to be honest, like, obviously the amount of care and like passion, that's just something that's like an individual thing for anybody. Like any raid leader that is going to be successful, or not necessarily even raid leader, just like in life, man. Like if you're going to be successful at something, you know, you need to be passionate about it. You need to take it serious and things like that. And that's why I think it's pretty funny when people like, you know, or like they, you know, bust people that are, you know, people that are gamers. You know, you see people busting their balls a lot, like, oh, it's a game. But I mean, like, you know, you find a lot of good traits in people that are, you know, gamers. I mean, it's no different than somebody that, you know, does like muscle cars for a hobby, or, you know, stacks cards or anything like that. I mean, the amount of like discipline and commitment involved, I mean, that's an individual thing that people just need to have to be successful at something. But as far as like the military portion, I definitely know that like that, like discipline wise, I mean, that was definitely something that changed. I mean, I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. I mean, that's like, it's almost a decade of my life. I mean, my birthday was this past week. I turned 30 or whatever. So like almost a third of my life I spent in the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? So like in deployments, I mean, all that stuff. I mean, it's just things like that change you, and they change like a lot of the things about you. And I mean, it's definitely, looking back at me, I would do it again, but it's definitely, you know, the discipline that it gives you, the understanding of like importance, like how big of a deal complacency is. I mean, that's not just something that makes you successful at being a raid leader. That's something that, like I said, it makes you successful at doing anything that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like the leadership aspect, the, you know, setting the example aspect, the discipline aspect, the just, yeah, I mean, those are the big topics. I mean, you could probably keep going on and on, like but I mean, that it definitely plays a part in it. And yeah, but those are traits you don't necessarily only get from the military. I mean, you can get those from anything. You just have to, you know, be willing to push yourself and try to make yourself a better person.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for us here. I knew this episode was going to be longer, but I don't want to keep everyone a little. I know you guys want to go play Hearthstone, so.
Dota 2, probably.
Oh, or Dota
tonight.
2, yeah, either one. So again, Riggnaros, thank you very much. Riggnaros.com for you guys. If you want to give me a still frame I can use for the show thumbnail, that'd be great. To do it right now, if you want to hold up your dog or something like that, give me a still frame.
He's not in it right now.
Oh, well, crap. So I don't know. Do something for me. Give me, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like, I could, if you would have told me I was going to need a little snapshot, I could have actually put it on somebody else for a minute. I'll be back. I'll give you
yeah. All right. Amy, twitter.com, Amiyeable right there. Go over and get him on the Twitters and follow everything Promethean. Go for it. And you want to give me a closing something? Because trying to find a picture from someone during the stream is such a pain in the butt. So I'm doing it at the end of the show now. Give me.
Are you doing it like the Brady Bunch again? Like we're looking other panels?
Well,
like...
no, that only depends sometimes. If you want to do that, that's fine. But yeah.
I'm horrible at this, so just whatever works.
Oh yeah, I might just steal that smile there from you. There, I did it.
Okay.
Boom, got it. Jenni, Twitch TV, Gaelic Strazia.
Yeah, I haven't streamed for a while But I'm getting back into it. I fixed my potato internet. My old
Yay.
speed's a lot better. So now you can actually see what's going on, and it's not like completely pixelated and awful.
The
So,
potato. I like the potato cam though.
I mean, you can't see anything. You can't see if things are on cooldown. You can't even see like
Yeah.
colors. It all gets like blurred. I look like a creepy mannequin because my face is totally blurred out.
What? Well, all right. Well, what do you want me to close on? Give me your snapshot. Do something for me. I don't know. What do you?
Can pick one from earlier. It's fine. I'm not posing it all right now.
Nailed it. I got you. Okay, good.
I'll see you guys later. Maybe when I'm at PAX. So
Yeah, if you're going to PAX,
I'll-
definitely try to find this little girl. Find her.
Yeah.
Keep her safe from all the nerds.
All the
Or I
nerds.
may have just doomed you. The whole bunch of final boss mobs and minions are gonna be there, and they're like, "Oh my God, Jenni!" The whole like crowd of people rush over you and terrorize you. Yeah, so get that. And I'm over at twitch.tv BayTLM. You can go follow me over there. All my social media is right up there. Oh God, what is Riggs doing? Yes, perfect,
Can't find my goggles, but this will have to work.
perfect. Okay, I'm not. Oh, okay. Oh no. All right. I'm waiting for him to get positioned, and I'll go to him. All right. PAX, PAX, PAX East, is the Penny Arcade Expo on the East Coast.
Going to PAX Prime.
PAX
So that's
Prime,
the one
yeah.
in Seattle.
Yeah, the
That's
Seattle
coming
one.
up next
Yeah,
weekend.
sorry. PAX East already happened. My bad. I'm stupid. I don't want to go over to Riggs yet. I'm waiting for me to get ready. This will be good. I don't know, can you hear me right now?
Kinda. I'm
Kinda.
irritated that I can't find my actual dust goggles,
Where
but
your goggles are? I don't know.
Oh.
it'll have to work.
Okay. There we go. Put that helmet on. Yes. I think the picture was posted. The Good Talk picture of you and your helmet on. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep, yep.
Oh, we have 666 viewers. Ooh.
There's your still.
There's my still. Got it.
Good talk.
Good talk. Good talk. Definitely. Oop, I just punched my monitor. Good stuff. But yeah, you guys have a great one. We'll see you back here next week, Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, 10 CET, right here on twitch.tv, Final Boss TV. Go over and check out the website. All the social media is there. Follow these beautiful people, and we'll see you next week.